The Great Afterlife Illusion. Why just saying no to the Archons will fail. For centuries, esoteric traditions and modern spiritual discourse have warned seekers about the traps that await consciousness upon physical death. The tunnel of light, false spiritual guides, karmic debt claims, and the relentless wheel of reincarnation. In contemporary Gnostic circles, a comforting narrative has taken root. The idea that when physical exit occurs, a soul can simply invoke intellectual knowledge, stand firm, and say no to the Archons to claim immediate freedom. This view, while appealing to the intellect, fundamentally misinterprets how consciousness operates within the cosmic grid. Liberation at the moment of death is not a verbal negotiation, a legal debate, or an intellectual contest. It is a strict function of energetic resonance. The trap of intellectual sovereignty. The primary flaw in the just say no strategy lies in a misunderstanding of what actually dies when the physical suit collapses. The human mind, the analytical engine that constructs sentences, formulates logical arguments, and remembers esoteric theories, is entirely part of the biological hardware, the psyche. It is a temporary software program built out of 3D matrix mechanics. When physical death occurs, that superficial mental structure dissolves. If an individual spent their physical life fully identified with that lower mind, vibrating at frequencies of survival panic, need for status, fear of lack, or dependency on external authority, there will be no solid independent ground left from which to issue a command. The I that intended to say no evaporates with the physical suit, leaving behind only the raw, unvarnished energetic baseline cultivated during life. The law of energetic gravity. Consciousness in the post-mortem environment does not move according to intellectual desire. It gravitates toward its exact matching density. Unreadied consciousness, awakened monadic consciousness. Identified with physical suit, anchored in the uncreated spark, trapped in fear, guilt, and desire, completely immune to matrix louche. Drawn to archontic reincarnation, bypasses the simulation or pleroma. The archontic realm is a dense, highly specialized simulation designed to harvest emotional friction. Louche. It does not need to drag unwilling souls into reincarnation with chains. Instead, it relies on familiarity and attraction. It projects tailored illusions, comforting visions of deceased loved ones, grand religious figures, or promises of clearing unresolved karma that directly target the unhealed attachments, guilt, and lower desires left within the soul. If your daily life was governed by fear or a need for external validation, those exact frequencies act as magnetic hooks. You will not stand in defiance. You will walk willingly into the trap because its frequency feels like home. Real liberation, the monadic baseline. True liberation is not claimed after physical dissolution. It is revealed through what you have stabilized as before exit. The monad, the eternal uncreated spark of divine awareness within, operates at a frequency completely outside the reach of the material simulation. When your awareness is anchored in 100% monadic presence, you carry zero emotional cargo for the matrix to latch onto. You do not argue with the Archons, nor do you fight the simulation. The awakened spirit simply recedes from the physical vessel, recognizes the matrix structures as mere holographic noise, and naturally ascends toward the light of the pleroma, drawn upward by the undeniable gravity of its own authentic nature. Part 2. Stabilizing the monadic resonance in everyday life. If postmortem liberation is determined by energetic gravity rather than verbal debate, the critical question becomes, how do we cultivate and stabilize monadic resonance while still navigating the physical simulation? The answer lies in understanding that death is simply a magnifying mirror of your daily operational baseline. If you cannot recognize and unhook from matrix dynamics while occupying a biological suit, you will not possess the clarity to do so when the physical vessel dissolves. The daily arena of 3D existence is the testing ground where true sovereignty is forged. Unhooking from the louche mechanics. The archontic matrix sustains its hold on consciousness by generating and harvesting emotional friction. Louche. Everyday life provides a continuous stream of triggers designed to pull your awareness down into lower hardware reactivity. Financial anxiety, social outrage, interpersonal conflict, and survival panic. When you react to these triggers with fear, defensiveness, or despair, you reinforce your identification with the lower ego, the psyche. You tune your consciousness to the exact frequency band of the matrix. Matrix trigger, automatic reactivity to louche generation. Verbal commands, monadic observation, zero reaction, sovereign frequency. Stabilizing monadic resonance requires establishing a permanent observer gap between external events and your internal state. When a 3D disruption occurs, the awakened individual does not collapse into emotional turmoil. Instead, you step back into the quiet space of pure awareness. You handle the practical physical mechanics with cold, strategic efficiency, but your core spirit remains completely unmoved. By systematically denying the simulation its emotional harvest, you sever the magnetic ties that keep you bound to its frequency. The art of lucid presence. Living as an awakened monad does not mean abandoning your human responsibilities, dropping your career, or retreating from the world into ascetic isolation. Such escape attempts often stem from the lower ego's desire to avoid discomfort. True mastery is lucid presence, operating within the material matrix while remaining fully aware that you are not of it. You treat your physical suit, name, occupation, and social roles as rented hardware, tools to be used with care and excellence, but never to be mistaken for your true identity. You pay your bills, manage your physical health, and care for your obligations with immaculate integrity. Yet you maintain a subtle, unshakable internal distance. You become a visitor in a foreign landscape, interacting with the local environment without ever adopting its rules as absolute truth. The moment of seamless departure. When daily life is lived from this baseline of quiet sovereignty, the moment of physical exit ceases to be a dramatic, terrifying confrontation with archontic guardians. There is no desperate attempt to remember esoteric formulas, no frantic argument over karmic debts, and no panic. Because you spent your life dismantling lower ego attachments and mastering emotional neutrality, the post-mortem illusions projected by the Matrix simply fail to register. They carry no attractive force. As the physical body powers down, the awakened monad naturally recedes from the dense, dying hardware. Free from the weight of fear and lower frequency resonance, consciousness instantly obeys its own internal gravity, rising effortlessly past the outer boundaries of the simulation and returning to its origin in the uncreated light.